Pankaj, today it's a very heavy earnings day.
Absolutely, Anisha, and our morning guests are also with us. All the four morning guests join us this morning. So let's welcome in Shrikant Shetty, Vijay Chopra, Ashish Chaturmoha, as well as Sameet Chavan. Gentlemen, I'll just come back to you, but just wanted to highlight about the earnings and how it can be quite important. 18% of the Nifty reports earnings today. That's how important the earnings day today is. More than 8 Nifty 50 companies. So Adani Ports, Axis Bank, Bharti Airtel, Asian Paints, HDFC Bank, of course, is the big one in terms of a weightage company declaring numbers. Kotak Bank, Z Entertainment, and a whole host of mid-cap companies like M&M Finance, L&T Housing Finance, and all of them have decent coverage. So all of that would be in focus. Let's go back to our morning guest. Let's start with Shrikant Shetty. Mr. Shetty, what are the picks that you have?
A couple of picks in the finance segment which we like. I think the overall banking space is still looking good for rally. So we like SBI within that space. We're looking at a 279, 280 kind of target for that from a trading perspective. Positionally also we like the stock. We think on the base of price to book value, it is one of the largest banks which is attractive among the PSU banking space. If you look at the rally, we see PSU banks leading the rally compared to the private sector banks here. So we like SBI there. The second one is DHFL in the housing finance space. Again, a space which we like, and here's a company which has performed extremely well in the current quarterly numbers, and we think there's more upsides here. So we're looking at a target about 360 from a trade perspective, and on a positional basis, we have upwards of 400.
Right. Mr. Chopra, what are your top picks?
Well, I would like to recommend 3 stocks for today. My first call is Arvind. The stock has shown decent resilience in the recent times, and I think that it has the potential of going up further. It closed at 363, and I would recommend a target of 380 on the stock with a stop loss of 350. My second call would be Aban Offshore. Again, we've seen a decent up move in the stock lately, and I think that it still has a lot of steam to go further up. The stock closed at 279. I would recommend a short-term target of 300 on the stock, and a stop loss of 268 should be maintained on the stock. My final call would be Mike Electronics. The stock closed at around 17 rupees yesterday, and I would recommend a target of 20 and then further the next target of 22 on the stock with a stop loss of 15 rupees.
Right. Ashish, what would be your calls for the day? All 3 buy names?
Good morning, Pankaj. My first pick would be a long call on Federal Bank. Now, if you look at on the weekly chart, the stock has consolidated for last 7-8 weeks between a range of 78 on upside and 65 on downside, and we have observed a very strong open interest addition in last 2 trading sessions and a strong volume activity in yesterday's session. Clearly, it's indicating that the stock is poised for almost 7-8% upside from current levels. One can initiate a long, keeping a stop below 72, and an upside can look for a target of 84-85 levels. My second pick would be a long call on Arvind Limited. Now again, if you look at this stock has been consolidating near its all-time high, and yesterday we saw very strong volume activity. I think this stock has a potential to cross its previous all-time high and can target in shorter term 385 kind of levels. But on the positional side, I think this stock has a potential to test minimum 430, 440 kind of levels. So I think this stock can be bought for short to medium term delivery as well. One can initiate a long, keeping a stop below 350 in Arvind Limited. And my third pick would be a call on Nagarjuna Construction. Now if you look at NCC, this stock has given a major breakout on the weekly, monthly charts about this 87, 88 levels, and we have seen a very strong open interest activity in last 2 trading sessions. A few strong block deals also happened at around 87, 88 zone, so clearly indicating that now 87, 88 will continue to act as an important support zone. One can initiate a long, keeping a stop below 87, and an upside can look for a target of 107 levels.
Sameet, what are your top picks?
I have 3 buy recommendation, and 1 would be on the short side. First buy would be on Bosch. We have been observing this stock oscillating within a range of falling waves since last 2-3 months. Yesterday we saw good traction in this counter with volumes. Thus we expect this stock to give a very good move on the upside. Our immediate target would be around 24,200, stop loss 22,500. Second buy would be on KPIT Tech. After the consolidation of nearly 3 to 4 weeks, this stock has managed to give a decisive breakout from its multiple resistance of 136 with a substantial rise in volumes. Since last 3 days, it's been holding its strong support of 136, 137. Thus going ahead, we expect KPIT Tech to give a rally towards 154. Stop loss would be at 136. Third buy would be on JK Paper. After a consolidation of nearly 4 to 5 days, this stock has managed to confirm its bullish flag pattern during yesterday's session. Thus, we expect extended rally towards 90 in the near term. Stop loss would be around 80, and our solitary sell call would be on CED. This stock has already seen a stupendous run in last 2-3 months. However, yesterday we saw a breakdown on hourly charts from its multiple support of 1260, 1265. Thus, going ahead, we expect extension of these losses towards 1118 CED. Stop loss would be around 1302.
Right. Apart from these names, one name that will be in focus will be the telecom sector. Idea declared numbers, Bharti Infratel declared numbers, Airtel, that's Bharti Airtel, would be declaring the numbers today. Let's look at the numbers. So if I look at Idea, in terms of numbers, it was a clear miss. 9,300 crores in terms of sales, profit at about 92 crores, which is a decline of 58% QOQ. EBITDA came in at 2,840 crores and EBITDA margins came in at a 6-quarter low. 30.8 is where the EBITDA margins came at. Now, for a company like Idea, there are various matrices one would actually look at. So let's start with data, which has been growing, and what was the performance over there. So average revenue per MB fell by about 11%. These are QOQ numbers. Volume growth was around 15%, but just don't look at the number because it was in the range of 20-25% earlier, and that slowed down to 15%. Average revenue per user declined by 8.5%. That was because of higher compensation, or one can say the higher promotions that they have done, and subscribers in data grew by about 10.2. So overall, the data matrix slowing quite significantly. Bharti Infratel also declared numbers. Numbers were not that great. So 3,291 crores in terms of total income. PAT at about 773 crores. That's about 30% higher. EBITDA came in at 1,449, and rental revenue went up by about 0.8%, and YOY it was up 9%. Overall, tenancy addition was slower, so that is something which the markets would take a note on. Bharti Airtel, that's the parent of Bharti Infratel, will be reporting numbers today. Sales seen down by about 3% at about 24,786 for Bharti Airtel. PAT seen at about 1,190 crores. EBITDA at 9,133 crores. That's what the street is estimating. But again, for a company like Bharti, you have to look at the key matrices. So average revenue per user is expected to decline. MOU, that's minutes of usage, is expected to decline by 2%. Mobile traffic is expected to grow by 0.4%. Last quarter, that was a big miss. And for Bharti, it's not only the India business, you have to look at the Africa business as well, where sales are expected at 5,300 and EBITDA is expected at 1,200. Vijay, if we just look at the numbers of these telecom names, does it tell you that, it's still now not even seen the geo impact? So Q3 would be much weaker. Probably if promotional activity continue, Q4 could be weak. So just wait and watch for next 6 months.
Well, definitely. Not only Q2, I think Q3, Q4, Q1, Q2 for the next year are going to be pretty weak because there's a lot of capex which is going to happen. The ARPUs are going to come down considerably, and we have seen the decline in the profitability. So when stocks perform basis the profitability on the balance sheet, and if profitability won't happen, and I don't see that happening in the next 1.5 years, so not much action will be seen in the telecom space, especially the biggies like Airtel or Infratel or Idea. So probably Jio is going to catch up. But Jio's entry into the market won't result into revenues on the book because most of the things are freebies as of now. So we have to see what kind of revenue uptick we see once everything becomes chargeable. So again, I see next 4 to 5 quarters very daunting and very challenging for the telecom players, and we're not going to see much action happening on the stock prices.
Right. Vijay, do you expect Tata stocks to react negatively? Just a 5-second answer.
Probably we can see a knee-jerk reaction, but I think they'll come back sharply.
Right. So just waiting for the opening. We have the pre-open prices with us. Tata stocks, at least the large cap ones which are traded well, are showing some sort of a decline this morning. BPCL is down about 0.7, Infosys 0.6% higher. Asian Paint numbers today, TCS 1% down, 2,406 for TCS, 15,000 shares traded. Let's just actually look at all the Tata names. So TCS is down about 1%. Let's look at Tata Steel. That's a name which could be in focus. Tata Communication is down about 3.7, 3.8. It's down close to about 4%, 643. Tata Steel is down about 3.6%, 410, 409 for Tata Steel now. Tata Motors, let's just look at that one. That's down just about 1% or so. We have the ADR of Tata Motors, which is already traded, which was slightly on the higher side this morning. Tata Elxsi down about 1.9, but volumes are just about 10,000. So let's just wait for a pickup in terms of volumes into this name, Tata Elxsi. Tata Power 2% down, 81.6 for Tata Power. So that's a name which is in focus. Tata Global Beverages down about, Tata Chemical down about 3.5%, 1.5 lakh shares traded for Tata Chemical, 557 for this name. Tata Coffee is down close to 2%, 132. But all these could be a knee-jerk reaction. It could stay for a while. It's not that when you say knee-jerk, it means that it has to happen right away or has to recover today itself. Till the appointment of new chairman, till the strategy is again reconfirmed, probably these stocks could stay where they are. Let's look at the telecom names as well. What is happening with Idea? So Idea is down about 1% or so, but it was down 4%. It has been very, very low of late, and maybe that's why it's not having a very, very big impact. So Idea is down close to about 1% or so. Bharti Infratel is up about 1.3. There was an EBITDA beat on Bharti Infratel. Let's look at Bharti as well. So ahead of numbers, how is it reacting? It's down about 1% or so. 303, 304. For Bharti Airtel, that's how it is reacting to the numbers. ICICI Bank continues to gain 2% higher, 290. It's done very well. Reliance Capital is, of course, reacting to its earning. Let's look at ICICI Bank. I mean, it's had a stellar run. I mean, no doubt about it. From the last 8 days, it is up and doing quite well. 290 for ICICI Bank right now. Cipla is up 0.6. Infosys, Sun Pharma, Asian Paints are some of the other names. A whole host of companies declares numbers today from the large cap space. So maybe some of the names are just waiting for the results to come out.
Well, amongst the mid-cap losers, we are seeing some of the Tata names move lower. Tata Metals is now down 4%, Tata Chemicals down 3%, we've got Tata Global Beverages down 2.5%, Tata Communications is down 2%, but they seem to be stabilizing and coming off the lows of the day. Gujarat State Fertilizers and Chemicals is down 4.5%. Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers and Chemicals also down 3%. We're seeing Tata Power down 2%, Biocon is down about 1%, and Voltas is down about 1.5%. On the gaining side, we're seeing a good traction coming through in Uttam Galva Steel. That one is up 12%. It's amongst the biggest gainers today and is looking very strong. Aptec has also moved higher, it's up 5%. We've got Bharti Infratel looking strong, JSPL, Arvind, which is going to come up with its earnings and is a top pick amongst our guests. That stock is also doing well with gains of 1%. Adani Ports is up about 1% ahead of its earnings. JSPL is up 1.5%. Sun Pharma, Asian Paints and Delta Corp are holding on to gains about 0.5% or so. So in the mid caps also there is some action being seen and we are seeing gains coming through. The frontline indices have now slipped and the Nifty is just about holding on to the 8700 level. Let's go back to our guests. Sameet, what do you see on the charts for big bank names like HDFC and ICICI Bank? ICICI Bank has had a stellar run. And the expiry is just this week. What's your call on these two names, ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank?
See, if you look at the overall price movement for HDFC Bank in last 2 to 3 weeks, this stock has been under pressure. We have been observing this stock oscillating within a range of 1300 to 1240. So with a near-term perspective, 1240 to 1230 seems to be a major support level to watch out for. On the higher side, 1270 would be an important resistance level. So with a near-term view, we expect this stock to remain within this small range wherein 1270, 1275 would act as a very strong resistance, and 1230 would be a make or break level in the near term. As far as ICICI Bank is concerned, we have already seen a stupendous rally in this stock since last 5-6 days. However, around 288, 290, we would see some profit booking happening in this stock. So those who have bought it at lower level and those who have a near-term perspective, they should lighten up their position once the stock reaches somewhere around 288, 290. And on the low side now, 275, 272 has become a very strong support.
All right. Shrikant, any call on Asian Paints? And that one is just up about 0.5% or so. But for the last 7-8 sessions, it's been on a losing spree. Now, home improvement as a theme has been quite favored by investors so far. What's been happening with Asian Paints? Do you think valuations are not matching comfort levels? What's your advice there?
Yeah, it's a case of where valuations are a bit rich. I mean, it's a great company. It's in a great space. One would like to have it in a portfolio from a long-term perspective. But yes, from a valuation point of view, given the kind of run-up which you've already seen, I think the valuations are fairly, if you can say, it's more or less pricing in most of the positives as of now. So unless they start delivering much higher kind of growth in terms of bottom line, and we have seen that happening through raw material, lower raw material prices, and we have seen crude kind of move up now. So maybe that expectation is also there, where we probably not have the raw material benefit going on, kicker benefit going ahead. So I think there is some amount of expectation that there may be a bit of disappointment with the kind of valuations which it has. So that's the reason why the stock could be in a more range-bound mode.
Ashish, your call on some of the NBFCs, they're doing well, be it housing finance majors like Divan Housing or even stocks like Muthoot Finance. What's your call on NBFCs? Which ones are looking the strongest on the charts?
See, as we have been mentioning for a long time that NBFCs are in a good space, and most of the NBFCs are looking very strong. Within that, housing finance names like Divan Housing is one stock we have been recommending since 230 odd levels, and I think this stock has a potential to test further towards 360, 370 zone. In last week conversation, we recommended Indiabulls Housing Finance, where I think this stock has a potential to test 920, 930 kind of levels in a short to medium term. And within this, in the cash segment, I think Capital First is one stock which is looking extremely positive. Stock is trading around 760 odd zone, and I think this stock has a potential to give minimum 10 to 15% upside in a shorter term. And on the positional side, we expect this stock to test 900, 920 kind of levels in coming days. So I think these are the top 3 bets which we continue to hold within the NBFC names.
How would you look at Axis Bank, a big underperformer results today? Could it be a big bottoming out or a topping out sort of an event?
Technically we don't find any major open interest addition in the stock, so I think there can be a knee-jerk reaction where the stock can again test towards 540, 545 zone, because 520 is an important support level, but I don't find any structural trend being developed in Axis Bank. But definitely Kotak Bank is one stock which is looking extremely positive to me, and I think this stock has a potential to cross its previous all-time high, which was around 830, 840 zone. So I think in the private sector bank, Kotak Bank would be one stock where I think on any dip towards 770, 768 would be an interesting idea to go long on.
Right. Sameet, Mr. Shetty, a lot of banking and NBFC numbers today. Now, if you just go back 3 months, this has been one sector that has been in the sweet spot, especially the NBFC pack. Something like a M&M Finance, something like a L&T Finance. What would you want to hear from the management apart from numbers? What is the sort of commentary that would be important?
See, I think, if you look at M&M Finance, it's been largely about the NPAs, which has been an issue. I mean, in terms of growth, it's not been an issue where they will be able to drive the growth. But they have had serious issues on the NPA front. So if there is some positive thing on the NPA front, how the recovery is shaping up, I think then that's clearly will be a positive for M&M Finance. So that's something to watch out for. Barring, if you look at other NBFCs, I think we have seen strong growth coming from the microfinance kind of names. We're expecting strong growth. So there it's more about sustainability of the kind of growth momentum. And that's what is more important with the asset quality remaining intact. So these are a couple of aspects I want to look at.
Right. The Tata Group stocks, I think most of them reacted like 3-4% down, but now they are flat. You think, even though they are down or they are flat with a sort of positive or negative bias, one has to look at them on a case-by-case basis. So companies which are delivering numbers will not fall much, but companies where there are some issues of asset deleveraging which can be delayed due to the changes that are seeing in the top, that is somewhere where you would just wait and watch?
Right. That's the only impact which one can currently visualize. If there's not been any major strategy change, but there's been some cases where we're expecting that there will be deleveraging. So if that momentum kind of slows down, maybe there will be some negatives for some of those stocks. But if you look at the larger ones like TCS, Tata Motors, I don't think there's any real impact on account of this change in leadership or change in guard. So I think any opportunity there could be, any corrections there could be an opportunity there.
Right. A lot of people are, pointing out that Tata Steel could be a stock in focus, and why is because they have seen a deleveraging under the leadership or the new leadership. They saw a big deleveraging. But there are a lot of people who are arguing by saying that it was just a matter of time that the deleveraging happened, because you cannot continue with the loss-making assets. So whether it's X management or Y management, that is something which would continue. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do believe that it will continue, because it's the kind of decision which has to be made in Tata Steel. I don't think they will be willing to continue. It's been a number of years since they've not been able to, the turnaround is really not visible. So I think the decision is not going to change there. But there could be deliberations which could have impact over a period. So that's where I think uncertainty will come in, and so maybe from a temporary perspective, yes, there could be corrections in some of the stocks where the company has been talking about deleveraging.
Right. Mr. Chopra, how would you look at something like a Tata Steel or a Tata Chemical, maybe a Tata Communication, which has seen a lot of changes in the last 4 years?
Well, I think I would be sector specific. If it is chemicals, I would be gung-ho about it. I think Tata Chemicals is a great stock and has the potential of inching up further. And we have to look at this this event. We cannot separate the things. So there might be some kind of a strategic change happening over a period of time, but I don't think that it's going to be very sudden. And whatever it is, I think it's going to be for the betterment of the group. Now we have an old lion who is an experienced person and who has known Tata Group in and out, and he has been in the helm of affairs for decades. So I think that handling Tata Group and steering Tata Group ahead and is not something new for Ratan Tata. So I think that market should cheer up over a period of time, and I'm sure there are going to be positive changes in store. So I would be sector specific. The sectors which I like, I think that they should perform well. If the companies have been doing good, as you mentioned earlier, so we have to take those companies on the merit and stay invested in that. So no need to panic, I guess.
Right. Ashish, on the technical side, say for Tata Motors, Tata Steel, what are the levels to watch out for?
See, I think Tata Motors is still holding on to the strength, and I think it has not broken even yesterday's low. That is a very good sign for the stock. So I think till 545 is not broken on downside, this stock has a potential to test 590, 600 kind of levels in coming days. So I think overall bias is positive in Tata Motors. As far as Tata Steel is concerned, again, if you look at today's price action, stock has recovered from the day's low and near around 415-16 levels. So I think now 400 will continue to act as a very, very important support, but it will consolidate between a range of 400 to 425 for some time, and then only we can see some positive momentum coming back to the stock.
Right. Mr. Shetty, again, with such changes coming in at the top level for such a big conglomerate, do you think that more focus is on the operational side? So what is the new CEO or the new CFO at Tata Motors saying, or Tata Steel doing? That is something which will be in focus rather than what's happening at the overall group strategy level?
See, first of all, we don't know whether there's any change in strategy. So I think we're all speculating about it, if there is a change in strategy. So at best, I think we can look at individual companies. We can see if there is a change in individual company strategy, then we need to react. As of now, it's a more of a global kind of change, which really does not have any fundamental impact in any of the stocks directly.
May not have a direct impact, but don't you think sentiment gets affected, Srikanth? Because there is somewhat of a uncertainty on if there is going to be a change in the strategy, whether what Cyrus Misty was spearheading is going to go through now. There was talk about realigning of some of the assets, selling off some assets which weren't doing well. Doesn't then that add to uncertainty amongst investors?
Right, that will. That's what we discussed just a while back. That some of the companies where there was deleveraging exercise which was happening or was expected, I think they could go through a bit of uncertainty during this period, during this transition period. And I think it's up to the new management to really come out and give clarity in terms of how the things will shape up, so that this uncertainty is removed.
Right, Vijay, when it comes to some of the global businesses, Jaguar Land Rover, Tata Steel, and the most recent spat at the Tata Docomo, falling apart, what's going to be the impact on these businesses? And I mean, what's the downside here?
Well, I think the downside, I've been talking about the telecom space, the downside would be there for another 1 year or so until the industry settles down to the new norms and the new ways the industry would be operating. As far as JLR goes or the global market goes, I don't think there's going to be much of an impact. And as I mentioned earlier, Ratan Tata is more than capable to steer the company through even tough times. So I think we have to look at companies with the kind of merit they have. So if JLR is doing good, I think you should give merit to the company, and I don't think that they would do any big strategic change when the company is doing okay. And same with Tata Chemicals or maybe TCS or maybe other Tata Group companies. So I think that whatever strategic changes are going to be there for good and not for the bad of the company and the stock. So I'm sure that over a period of time, these stocks will also come back. As I mentioned earlier, they'll come back sharply, and the markets and the world will settle down to this new set of things.
Mr. Shetty, you also had a point to make.
As I said, the markets will value performance. Ultimately, you'll have to deliver the goods, and if the companies which are delivering the goods, I don't think the market will have continuous negative impact. Yes, sentimental impact is there. We can have knee-jerk reactions for a couple of days. I think then people will again come back and look at the performance, whether the bottom lines and top lines of companies are what is happening on the bottom line, top line front, and then accordingly react to and the market prices will react. So that's what matters, I think, from a long-term perspective.
Right, moving on to some earnings. Ashish, what's your call on Adani Ports? What would you do with that stock?
See, I think it's in a clear uptrend, and today we are observing some amount of profit booking. But overall, I think the stock will find a very strong support around this 278, 279 zone, and around those levels. If the stock comes, then it's a good buying opportunity in the stock. I think the stock has a potential to cross 300, 305 kind of levels in coming days. On downside, 275 will be kept as a trading stop loss.
Sameet, your call on the IT heavyweights, TCS, Infosys, Wipro and HCL Tech?
Yes, from this space, TCS certainly looks good. Around 2300, we saw formation of double bottom, and the stock is now moving higher. 2440, 2450 is the important level to watch out for in the near term. Once the stock confirms its breakout beyond 2440, 2450, we would see the stock moving higher. 2550, 2560 would be the near-term targets. As of now, we are seeing a range wherein 2450 would be a strong resistance, and lower side, as I say, 2300 has become a very strong support.
Right, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking out time for us. Always a pleasure talking to you. Just before we go, Mr. Shetty, let's start with you. Any disclosures?
No personal holdings, but as a company, we would have recommended the stocks which we have spoken about.
Right, Ashish, your disclosures?
Yeah, few of these stocks we have recommended to our clients. I do not have any personal holding in any of them.
Right, Mr. Chopra, disclosures for you?
No personal holdings. We keep on recommending these stocks to our customers.
Right, Sameet, finally your disclosures as well?
I don't have any vested interest in the discussed stocks, but our clients might be having positions.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this morning.
We'll slip into a break at this point in time.